Hey guys, how you doing? It's your boy DeathMonkeyXL, aka Rich, or the other way around if that's what you want to do. Today we're going to take a look at the designer notes for the Doctor, Gatekeeper, and Hex Ruin on Dead by Daylight. They just released these today, and I'm going to read them. I guess they're doing some changes to the Doctor and Gatekeeper and Hex Ruin. I don't know what the Gatekeeper is. Haven't fully played in a while, but the Doctor and Hex Ruin don't really need changes, so this should be interesting. Hopefully there's nothing in here that's gonna make me rage and quit again. The Doctor is one of my favorite characters. He has that infectious laugh, and every time I shock somebody as a killer main, I laugh so much. It's so funny. I just do it. I just run around chasing people and shocking them. I don't even care if they get away, just because I have so much fun doing that. So hopefully they don't take that away from me. All right. This is welcome to our Designer Notes, a series of blog posts presenting the fine details of upcoming design changes. Today we'll be going over the first update of 2020, which includes changes to the Doctor, the Gatekeeper emblem, and Hex Ruin. Doctor update. In the mid-chapter update, we will be changing core elements of the Doctor's gameplay. He's been a polarizing figure, polarizing, since his release, and we felt it was time to revisit his kit with an eye to making it less frustrating to play against him. I don't know if it was really frustrating to play against him, because like, he's been around for a while, right? Like, he's number 3 that came out, I think. The third one that came out was the Doctor. And so I understand that there's new people coming in, but just like when I jumped in a couple of years ago, I had to learn how to deal with them, and I think they should too. But let's see what they do. We will keep his core identity as a killer who shocks people with electricity and causes them to go insane, suffering several different kinds of afflictions and hallucinations. Some of his abilities and most of his add-ons will get an update pass. We identify a major source of irritation to be his static field. The problem is that the Doctor gets periodic notifications of survivors' locations in his terror radius due to their madness levels increasing passively. It's the lack of action needed on the part of the Doctor to find nearby survivors that makes it feel annoying to play against. So, as a survivor, I've played against survivor. I'm a killer main, but I've played against survivors also. All you have to do is kind of pay attention to that. Also, when you scream, just leave that area. You only do it once. It's not like constant screaming. Once you get that first scream, you're not going to keep, it's not, just once. All right. With that in mind, the update centers around removing static field and replacing it with another ability. Oh boy, what's the other ability? They don't need to remove static field. I'm not a Doctor main. I play against the Doctor. I played as the Doctor. Static field is not something you need to. And I thought like they could do it to where instead of removing it completely, they can just make it so when he switches into punishment mode where he's actually shocking people, that's when the static field happens. So you have to walk around in punishment mode for it to happen. And then when you want to hit somebody, you got to switch over, which is kind of a slower switch. Maybe slow down that switch a little bit. And that's really all you got to do. The new ability replacing static field is called Static Blast. This is mapped to the active ability button. After charging the ability for a short duration, it releases a blast of static electricity throughout the Doctor's entire terror radius. Any survivors caught in the area of effect are shocked, causing them to scream and acquire an amount of madness. If their madness level increases, they also reveal their location to the Doctor as usual. Alright, well, they just kind of killed the Doctor with that change. That's the change that they plan on sticking with. That puts, everybody had those tier lists when that was a big thing. Doctor just went down to like F tier. While charging Static Blast, the Doctor's movement is significantly reduced, and his movement's reduced. And the ability has a long cooldown. What is this nerf? What is that? The idea behind the design of Static Blast is to make it powerful as a location tool, but very difficult to use when in the chase, hence the limitation on its use. It's not difficult to use when in a chase. It's just difficult to use. Period. If you're in the Doctor's terror radius, they're gonna hear your heartbeat, right? So the first survivors in the terror radius, they hear the heartbeat. They know you're nearby. They're not gonna wait for you to charge up a static blast and then send that out. And it's not like it charges up your madness level, so it doesn't even activate your location immediately. It just and you're like, oh, I'm slightly maddened. Caught in the NERFED shot. Oh, it is causing the screen and acquiring an amount of madness. But it doesn't reveal their location. It just makes them scream. As shock therapy and static blast are now linked to separate inputs, we remove the different treatment and punishment stances to improve the gameplay flow. All they had to do was make it so it just happened in the treatment stance. The doctor's base movement speed is still 4.6, the regular movement speed for most killers, and just slowed down treatment movement, but he can now use shock therapy more easily as he doesn't have to switch stances to gain access to it. So we've added a brief pause after using shock therapy before he can attack or use another ability. This is so bad. I'm sorry, any Dr. Mains out there. Reading this does not give me hope. One last thing we've addressed is the frustration of using Snap Out of It to drop from Madness level 3 to Madness level 2. But that was so fun as a survivor. After the update, missing a skill check doing Snap Out of It would cost the player 25% of the progress instead of resetting it entirely. Also, if they stop the interaction before it's complete, they will not lose their progress and will continue from where they left off on the next attempt. Guys. Sorry, Doctor's done. He's done, guys. Donezo. No more Doctor. The upcoming mid-chapter update will also include a major overhaul to Hex Ruin. Hex Ruin, the Gatekeeper update. And an associated update to the Gatekeeper emblem. Recent data shows that Hex Ruin is used in over 80% of all games in the red ranks. And across the entire user base, it appears in about 45% of all games. We took a close look at the perk to identify what makes it so frustrating to play against. 3 key issues were identified. Its punishment of new players or those who can't hit great skill checks, newer players trying to help veterans with generators repairs tend to make the situation worse rather than better. The passive nature of gameplay pressure it provides means that there is a huge amount of potential with very little effort to risk on behalf of the killer. Its inconsistency due to the random nature of the appearance interval of skill checks. We also looked carefully to see how it functions as part of. I don't even use Hex Ruin like that, right? Like I don't have builds as a chopper main. Like sometimes I play around with it, but I don't have any build that relies on Hex Ruin. But as a survivor, I didn't mind running around. You put in Nancy with the perk to encourage people to run around and look for Hex Ruin, to look for the totems, and then you made totems harder to find. So you like change up the locations, and now you're talking about, oh, so Hex Ruin was just too hard for people. Beyond the obvious desire to slow down generator repair, Hex Ruin functions as one of the very few perks effective at slowing generator repair in the first couple of minutes of the trial. This is important to killers rankings because the Gatekeeper emblem highly rewards keeping as many of the 7 generators incomplete as they can for as long as possible. Alright, the Gatekeeper emblem. Okay, I know what that is. Because Hex Ruin is one of the few tools that a killer has for getting an iridescent Gatekeeper emblem, the update needed to respect that. Just a straight up nerf without considering the consequences for that emblem wouldn't be a good plan. So before getting into the Hex Ruin chains, let's go over the Gatekeeper emblem. Alright, so let's see what they're going to do to the Gatekeeper emblem. The points are scored as the number of points generated remaining to be repaired, multiplied by which minute the match is in. Additional points are scored for any remaining generators at the end of the trial. This provides much less of a reward to a killer who loses 3 gens quickly, but then doggedly keeps the last few until the end of the match. The new version of Gatekeeper is simpler. 1 point is scored per generator remaining to be repaired per minute for the first 9 minutes. At the end of the trial, if both exit gates remain closed, additional points are scored with less focus on keeping 7 generators up. We can move on and change Hex Ruin without making it significantly harder for killers to do well in Gatekeeper. I feel like Tina. All generators are affected by Ruin. If a generator is not being worked on, it regresses at 1.5 to 2 times the normal regression rate. Alright, so Ruin now just regresses the generators faster. The Hex effect still persists as long as the related totem is standing. The version of the perk has many benefits. Survivors who are working on generators are unaffected as the perk no longer affects skill checks. Killers must be active in pushing survivors off generators to get value from it. It is less useful in the early game, but very useful in the late game. Survivors now have a more interesting choice about what is necessary to find and clean Hex totem. These changes outlined above, along with the Larry's Memorial Institute rework, are slated for the mid-chapter update and will be available to test on the player testing build starting tomorrow. Please be sure to let us know what you think once you've had the chance to try them all. I'm gonna let you know what I think right now. These changes are garbo. Wow. So you killed the doctor and then you killed Hex Ruin. These two things has been in the game like forever. A lot of people have complained about how killers can't really get anybody or catch anybody without Hex Ruin because it slows the game down. And there are other perks. Was that one corrupt intervention that locks down the generators, 3 generators for a while, which will probably be used more often now. But that's so bad. Pop Goes the Weasel, I think, is going to get a lot of play. Pop Goes the Weasel with Hex Ruin will probably work really good with that. And I guess it'll still work good with the Doctor's perk, the skill check, no, the hard skill check overload, I think it's called. So it's not a terrible nerf, but at the same time it is, because it doesn't slow down. One of the things that people use Hex Ruin for is because it slowed down gen rushing when playing against your survival with friend groups. Because 4 people in the generator is like bing, especially with survivor perks that help speed up gen progression. So now you're going to have your gen rush game even stronger because there is nothing to slow down Hex Ruin for newer players or veteran players. I think it's a very terrible change that they made for that. The Doctor is a very terrible change also. They didn't need to do all the rework they did to that. It was really a simple fix if they wanted to avoid that harshness of people being found passively and make it more active, or give survivors a chance to escape more, or whatever. It was just changing timings on things, making it so that static charge only comes out on treatment mode, and that maybe you move slower in treatment mode, and switching back takes longer. So it's pretty bad. These changes are not good. They didn't say they call it a nerf, but it was an obliteration. That's what that was. Sorry guys. Maybe I picked the wrong time to come back to the game, even though I don't use Hex Ruin. I guess the Doctor will still be fun for me to play. I just go around shocking people and still get my laugh. As long as that's there, I'll be happy. But everything else is done. So what do you guys think? How do you guys feel about these changes to Hex Ruin and the Doctor? Let me know in the comments. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.